I need some help. Somebody needs to help me. Help me understand what's going on here. Yesterday, I went to Olive Garden. My sister did a surprise birthday party for my mom. And not that it was, really surprised. We went there last year and surprised her. So how surprised can you be the second time around going to the same place? But it was nice. I seen apparently my two uncles and my aunt from my mom's side, and I didn't even recognize who my uncles were. And that's, it's, you should know all your family, but my family is distant, and I guess when people don't get along, brothers, sisters, or cousins, or uncles, and then this one talks about that one, and this person talks about this one. But so it was let me give a rundown of what I know, because I'm looking for answers myself. My grandma, my mom's mom, her name is Butchie. Butchie died. She was 88. She was one mean gene Polak machine. She was 100% Polish. She was very mean, but I didn't know her that much. I just knew that she was always mean. She never cracked a smile. She always listened to the CB radio and listened in on what's going on in the neighborhood. I guess like a town watch. So her name was Jean Jasinski. Jean Jasinski. My mom's name is Barbara Jean. So there's Jean. The genes are already in my family's tree. There's Jasinski, and then there's Kupczynski. So my grandma, Butchie, she had children from my grandpop, whose name was Poppy. I actually don't even know his real name. And then she was with another guy named Richard, and Richard is the father. Well, he was the father. He passed away like 15 years ago. Richard is my mom's dad. And then her stepdad is Poppy, and Poppy Jasinski had, I think, two kids, my uncle Robert and my aunt Debbie. They're the Jasinskis. And so that's my mom's half sister and half brother, because they're Jasinskis and my mom is Kupczynski. Now, because I tried to figure out what's going on here too, with the other half of the family that I have not seen or talked to, and almost don't even know they exist until it's like they show up like, hey, I'm your uncle. Huh? Uncle who? Oh. So apparently I have two uncles. Uncle Michael and Uncle Stephen. And Aunt Karen. And that's from my mom's side of the family. And so they're also my mom's half sister and half brothers, which makes them half of my uncle, because their dad is Richard. Richard died 15 years ago, who would be my grandpop, and So his side, I believe there I have another aunt too, but I forgot to ask. So I have an Aunt Karen, I have an Uncle Michael, and an Uncle Stephen who are still alive. My mom's side, her brother, which is my Uncle Richard, he died. His father was the same father as my mom. And their mother is the same mother as my mom, Grandma, Butchie. My Uncle Robert, he died, but he's a Jasinski. So his father was Poppy, who died a long, long, long time ago with my grandma. Butchie. Butchie is the place, the house, where my brother, it's been sitting for 10 years. And so my brother went in, changed the locks, got the electric put in his name, and is, taking over the house. That way my mom can live in it. Technically it's my mom's house. My mom and my Aunt Debbie. It's their house because they're like the two connected to Butchie. So, but we'll see how all that pans out, because my brother is seems like he's trying to charge my mom rent or something like that, and take all of her money that she only gets like $700 a month for. I was under the impression he's going into the house so my mom can live there. It's yeah, I mean, nobody would be able to do anything without my brother stepping up and fixing stuff. But however, the way things are, when someone dies and a house is in their name and it's paid off, it goes to the next of kin, the oldest, and then my mom is the oldest child, so, and then my Aunt Debbie is next. So they don't get along with each other, so it's like nobody's cooperating, but it's a free house. So anyway, and the one thing about my brother Mike is he's cheap like that, and I hope that he doesn't truly want to do that, charge my mom rent and take all her money that she has at the end of her life, so she can actually have some money. My intentions were for her to move in and have money. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, family members, and so when they're explaining who they are, like the side of the family, something very unusual was said, and I don't think it was a mistake. I mean, it could be, but I don't think things are mistakenly thought of that way. I have suspicion as to who my real father is. Real mother, real father. Real mother, father, creator. But something that my uncle said was, he's like, yeah, we're Richard's kids. And he said, because we were talking about my mom's side, it's my mom's side, Richard's kids, your father. I said, grandfather, right? Oh, yeah. Father. And then, so I'm gonna need some kind of answers for this one. That's why I'm saying it publicly out loud. Because I remember Stephen James said one time, talking about me, Robin. Oh, by the way, I have 2 half brothers. And one thing I've learned about Stephen James DeShawn, when he talks about himself, he's talking about me. When he's talking about me, he's talking about himself. So I gave my aunt a hug. I said, because I remember her from when I was a little kid. I do remember her And my other aunt, I guess, I can't remember the name, but I was like 6 years old, just came to Philly, and we would go over to her house. It was a nice house, and she would try to like pinch my cheeks and give me a kiss, so I would always run from her because I was shy. I remember that about her. So I gave her a hug. I said, "Oh, so you're my aunt then, Aunt Karen?" She's like, "I don't know what I am to you." All right, so those are the two things that, I mean, you know, one thing saying your father, and I had to say, "You mean grandfather?" Yeah. Because who mistakes their own father to say to someone that they barely even know, which is me? I don't remember seeing, I don't even know if I ever met him, to be honest. I mean, maybe I seen him somewhere, but yeah. So maybe I seen them somewhere before, but I don't remember. So it's a weird thing that for two grown men that are about, I don't know, maybe 60 in their 60s, to say, what happened? Did you give me a wrong thing or something? To say, you know, to mistake their father for my father, to mistake their father and say your father. And I even said it to my wife and Christian in the car, leave us. I don't know if you guys caught this or not, but remember when I was asking them about, and they're like, who, you know, your father? And then I said my grandfather, and my kid was like, yeah, no, I just think he just didn't know what he was talking, or he was like, so he heard it. Everybody heard it. All right, and he heard it. And then my aunt said, I don't know what I am to you. All right, so let's go with this. Let's go with if that's the case, right? If I was right about what I think is possible, am I ever going to be told the truth? If it is, probably not. So I'll speculate and say it anyway. It doesn't matter to me one way or another, because my true father is in heaven anyway. Period. My earthly father, well, either way, my earthly father is dead. Unless it's even higher up than that. So here's how the only way it would be possible. My mom and my dad were together. They had 5 kids. I was the last one, the 5th one. When I was, as far as I can remember, my mom and dad weren't together. So when I was born, from the time I was born to the time I can remember, my mom and dad separated. Why? Well, because my mom cheated on my dad. Okay, well, who did she cheat on my dad with? My dad? And then I thought, how was the world made incestuously, right? When did it stop? I don't know. Did it? Cousins with cousins, brothers with sisters, fathers with daughters, sons with mothers. Sons have children with the mothers. Fathers have children with their own daughters. Even Derek Brose said, in order for the proper bloodline for the royal family to continue the bloodline would be the father, which would be the king, has a daughter. So let's just say let's say my grandfather Richard was a king, and my mom Barbara is his daughter, and then so the only way that would be possible would be he has a child with her. That child is me. So technically, he is my grandfather, but he would also be my father because it because it's my it's my dad. But because I'm born from my mother and her father, well, her father would be my grandfather, even though he would be my father. That's how that would. And then, but here's where it stops. Because Derek Bros said, in order for the bloodline to continue in that royal bloodline, the father has a daughter, has a son by his own daughter. So now that's his son, grandson. And that son, when it grows up, in return goes back to its mother and has a child with his own mother. And then that child, whether it be a boy or a girl, you see how it all intertwines together? So that's the only way that that would be possible. And everything was a secret. And I'm in the Truman Show, and my name is Truman. And I'm in a bubble, and everybody's lying to me, and everybody's saying, shh, 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 shh. Yeah, your father, huh? You mean grandfather? Oh yeah, well, who am I to you again? I don't know who I am to you. So you're my aunt, right, Karen? I don't know who I am to you. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Are you my sister? Are you my true sister? Is my family now my half brothers and half sisters? And would they even know that? How would anybody even know? And would my mom actually come clean if it was true? Mom, would you tell me the truth? That my dad is really your dad? And technically you're like my sister, but I'm also your son. Because that's what that would be. And so my aunt, if she doesn't know what she is to me, then she could also be either my sister, and my mom is not even my mom. It's my mom and dad is, they're not even around anymore, and I'm just with the other side of the family. That's why people look alike, but I don't really look like anybody in my family. I don't look like my brothers. They have rounder faces. Mine's longer chinned. I don't look like my sisters. They look more like my mother. My dad, I don't see a resemblance in him with me. The nose isn't the same. The face isn't the same. I don't act the same as anybody in my family. I'm very different. Unusually different, they would think. But that's just because I'm completely wide awake to everything. And also just possibilities of what things could be. So, but if I was actually born out of my mother and she cheated on my dad, well, then who did she cheat on my dad with? And did they divorce because my dad knew that's not my kid? Well, yes, it is. It's conceived by the Holy Spirit. No, it's not my kid. So I wonder if the reason why my parents broke up and divorced was because of me being birthed into this world, and my dad, who took or whatever, who was there, and that I can say that's my dad. He wasn't really there ever, but he was there, an absentee dad basically. And he had his favorite, which was my brother Billy, the older one, and yeah, so I was neglected. I felt neglected my whole life. That's the whole purpose of it, to find God clearer. So let's just say, because I'm going to go with this and see where it goes, and keep in mind Stephen James said, Robin, oh, by the way, I have 2 half brothers. Now that could either mean one or two things. My 2 uncles, they're really my half brothers, because I could be, the way that they could be my half brothers and uncle would be if my mom conceived me through my grandfather, which is her actual dad, and then his sons would be my half brothers because they weren't born from my mother. They were born from Lynn, which is my mom's stepmom, Richard's wife. They both died. They are from those 2, but they would also be my half brothers if I was conceived from my mother's father. And then they would also be my uncles, because technically if I'm birthed from my mother and she has half brothers, any time your mom has brothers, they're your uncle. If she has sisters, they're your aunt. So therefore they would be my uncles, but also my brothers. They could be, then that would be half. So I could have 2 half brothers, or I'm not even part of this family over here. Or yeah, no, I am. I'm from my mother, but my father is different. So therefore my 2 other half brothers, William and Michael. So either way, I would have Michael would be one of my brothers, halfway or not. So do I have 2 half brothers? I mean, 4 brothers? Yeah, they could all be half brothers. Because if my 2 brothers have a different father, which is William, who died, and my father is somebody else, but we all have the same mother, well, then I would have 2 half brothers. And then if my mother was with her father, because remember, her mom also had separate children. So it's like her mom, who had my Uncle Richie and Robert, and then on the other side, Uncle Stephen and Michael, they're part of 2 different families. She could have just easily did, yeah, no, Richard's your father, and just lied to him, but it was separate. So I'm just wondering, was I lied to about everything? and was I supposed to hear that accidentally on purpose? Maybe they said it like, yeah, your father, the one who died. And I'm like, you mean my grandfather? And they're probably like, oh shit, they didn't tell him? They didn't tell him yet? That you're our brother? Isn't that crazy? How people would even lie about all that anyway? I can see why it would be lied about. Who wants to tell the world that you slept with your daughter and had a son? Well, in the royal bloodline, that's how it's supposed to be, right? The king has the daughter, has a son by the child, and then I heard that the child was supposed to grow up and then sleep with his mother in order to keep that bloodline going, the incestuous bloodline. In that order, the son goes back to, leaves his mother and father and becomes one with his wife. Now, what if your mother is your father and you're one of the ones that are born from parthenogenesis, and you leave your mother and father and you don't even know it? You don't even know that would be equivalent to my wife right now was my actual father as a parthenogenesis, female adding the male, getting herself pregnant, skull and bones, dying after I was born, and then a year later hopping into a different skin suit, and then I meet up with her. Was that confirmation? Because I'm running out of gas. And then they send her in my direction, right? To trick me. And then it's like I marry my wife, but she would really be my mother, father, creator, because what happens when parthenogenesis, you have a little cricket? What happens? You say, oh my God. So supposedly your child is supposed to be your God. So that would be the only way that would make sense, is once I'm birthed by my mother, father, and then later on in life that person is sent in my direction in a different skin suit as a female, and then I wind up marrying her, so technically I would have left my mother and father and became one with my wife. Or there's people that do that and they know that it's their mother. Kind of like the Lucifer show. I think he even said it one time. He's like, the girl that was the detective, and he's like, yeah, this is my mother with a ridiculously hot body or something like that. And then the girl that was his daughter that he didn't know about, she was even saying to the woman that she's his mother. So I don't know what's going on here, but how wouldn't Lucifer know who his mother was and if he had a daughter? Well, so that's as deep as I can think about all scenarios. And because what would that mean? That would mean my grandfather's side of the family, they're people that are, they have money. They had money, they were wealthy, they lived good. That whole side of the family is good. The other side is not. Scoundrel. My Uncle Robert and Richie, they were criminal, thieves, scoundrels, connivers, kind of like my brother Mike. I thought before my brother Mike was my Uncle Richie's child, but that would mean that my mom's brother Richard would had to have slept with her and had my brother Mike, because he's just like him, he looks like him. And when you have brother and sister taking baths together up until at least 13 years old, that kind of puts that thought in your mind. And I think that's why Butchie had them take a bath together, in order to keep that incestuous bloodline thought, if possible. Especially if, later on down the line, my mom has a child, which is me, by her father. I'm not saying that that's true, but I'm saying, and even if it is, whatever, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. We're all born in the flesh. We could all just be inside of a big Statue of Liberty, and our mother, father, creator is the Statue of Liberty, and we're all just little sperm cells, and somehow we get plugged into the Matrix and we're just inside of there. I mean, who knows? But incest has run in the family. I've seen it. I'm not going to mention the other couple of people, and but we'll just leave it at that. And so the realm of possibility is, it's likely, it's likely that that's the case. It could be the case. But you know what that would mean? If my grandfather had a will and I was in it because I was his child, but it was kept secret, then that would be part of it. But I'm leaning more towards my actual father himself is probably the devil. And the devil has been watching me my entire life. Every move you make, every breath you take, I'll be watching you, Robin. And like the Sandman, and like Metallica, the nightmares, the tractor trailer smashing into the kid's bed. He can't even sleep properly. The nightmares and gang stalking and harassing, and the Matrix. Oh, by the way, the Matrix was lining up with my stuff as I was making it, and it's just to the point where God is showing me, no matter what I do in my entire life, all the decisions I've made, whatever videos I produce, and I'm putting together information like that, the movies that were already made, well, guess what? The videos that were already made from rock stars from 30 years ago, guess what? The imagery that I recorded in the art museum was already used before I recorded it in their musical videos, and tying into the Matrix, where Bono, it's looking like he's actually Agent Smith, because when I was putting the videos together, when I showed Agent Smith next to Bono and he was looking up and his nose was in the same exact direction, nose to nose, I think he was trying to show me that he was washed up on an empty beach, just like Judas betraying Jesus with a kiss. Neo is like Noah, Neo, Noah. He's the one in the black suit. He's the one sweeping the bottom golden image like Bono was looking as I was still shotting, putting that stuff together. It looks like the image in the art museum where the two are dancing. It looks like Neo is at the top and he's sweeping Bono out of the way, a clean sweep, because Bono would be Agent Smith and Neo would be the Christ. He's the one. So he's the one, and he's in the Matrix, and he's the one waking up to it, and he's the one slowing it down and just getting bullet point accurate interpretations. What's the point of what's the point of beeping your horn so much? Bullet point accurate predictions and connections with all the imagery inside of the art museum that's connected to the Matrix, connected to the not only YouTube videos, but there's so many other bands I gotta sit there and think of who it all is. But there's 21 of them. Well, there's gonna be 21 of them altogether when I'm done. There's gonna be 33 songs in the art museum out of the 366 days. So who is my father, huh?